Hello, everybody. Welcome back to your Connor reaction for this one. We did fan forum first. It's just been one of those days. It's been absolutely mad. So apologies for that. Normally we do the fan forum after we do the match reaction. So this is going to be a little bit more in depth. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts. We didn't really get into the fan comments on the other stream. Make sure you head out and check that other stream. Steve came on and give his thoughts. That was more of an instant match reaction. But I've obviously got my thoughts here, and I'll be responding to comments in the chat below, obviously, and we can get into it. Specifically. Right. So slap a like on the video as always. If you Twitter, if you Facebook, make sure you convert to a YouTube account, everybody. It's well worth it. You get all the additional benefits. We've got Patreon. Patreon users get into the instant match chat all the time. So make sure you head on over there. You can become part of that. As always, today, in all of our videos, everybody, thank you to our sponsors, GNO, the Job Match Group, and IPM. As always, all Leeds United fans keep it within the community. Right. Instant match reaction, or kind of instant match reaction. Positives. Let's start on this. Positives. Sunderland have dropped points today. What is the major objective for this football club this year? It is not to go forward in the cup. We were saying this in the watch long before the game even started. Was it to go forward in the cup and be a cup team and this, that, and the other? No, it's absolutely not. And you can tell that by the substitutions the manager made. He made 10 changes, right? 10 changes, and we still had a relatively strong squad. And then you look at Millwall. Millwall made 3, I believe. That's what the Millwall Twitter account said. They made 3. So that means, in my opinion, when you're looking at that foresight, that they're taking this maybe a little bit more seriously than we are. So obviously they bring in the fans. The fans were loud. We'll get into them in a little bit. But yeah, they were just well up for it, weren't they? They're absolutely well up for it today. So, yeah, I thought they were winning a lot of the 50-50 tackles. I thought they were winning a lot of the second balls. What I will say is at the very beginning of the game, I thought in the first 10 to 20 minutes, you could tell this was a new Leeds United side. And when I say new, Sam Chambers, wide right, Nonso in the 10, Ramazani, wide left, Joseph up top, Gilavoggi in the defensive midfield alongside Joe Rothwell, and then you've got like a back 4, obviously, of Schmidt, Byram, Strauch, Ampadu, and Darlow in net. And for me, it was just disjointed. It was so disjointed. And when I say disjointed, you can always tell when players have played together, like Jayden Bogle and Dan James. You can tell they've played together, right? You know that there is an understanding between them both. When Jayden Bogle gets the ball, Dan James immediately goes because he knows he's going to try put that ball on the outside of the left back. And then Dan James is going to be able to get in front of the centre back. And obviously the left back will get behind the left back and initiate the burners, the turbos speed. So, and then you've naturally got maybe a little bit of a movement of Joel Peru to hold back a little bit. Instead of going towards the goalkeeper, he'll hold back. And naturally what you'll get is maybe a little bit of a byline cutback from Dan James, which I've been really, really happy to see with James, and Bogle has been coming to the fore a little bit more over the past 2 months, I'd say, where that we're doing a lot of byline cutbacks, which I think has started to develop a little bit more in our game. Now, I think the interesting tactical imprint in this as well is Leeds were building up on the same side as we normally build up through. Leeds will build up on that right-hand side through Jayden Bogle and through Dan James. And I think in this game in particular, what Leeds were doing with Schmidt, I thought he was excellent. I thought Isaac Schmidt was excellent again. Technical efficiency, high, can use that left foot. We've seen him on that left phase a little bit as well, trying to whip that ball in previous games, and he's looked good. He's got a change of direction. He's got a lovely balance. I say that quite a lot with a lot of our players, and when I say balance, I mean they can go on that left and right hand side, which I think is really important as a wing back, which is nowadays a winger, really, isn't it? So you've seen there with Isaac Schmidt that his ability across the board for 3.3 million quid being brought in from St. Gallen, of which he was playing in the Europa Conference League qualifiers against Trabzonspor, etc., and scored in that game, by the way. You just know his level is a little bit higher. Okay, so initially my thoughts immediately was it's a little bit fractured in build-up because on the right-hand side, Leeds are still building up on that side, but you've got Sam Chambers. Sam Chambers was okay today, but Sam Chambers on that pitch is the weakest football player. So when you're building up and Sam Chambers is the out ball, what is the question? Why is that happening when Ramazani's on that left-hand side? Now, that's coaching, but that's also the tendencies of the players to be building up on that right-hand side. But it's coaching. It's saying to the Leeds players, build up on that side. That's where we're going to be the strongest. That's what they'll have targeted throughout the week. Now, for me, Leeds needed to build up on that left-hand side. I think Sam Byram, as much as he frustrates the life out of me, is efficient enough to pass the ball to Ramazani and then maybe go on one of his runs. He's not going to be part of the build-up because Sam Byram cannot build up. You saw again this throughout his game on that left-hand side. He is useless at build-up. He's much better on that right-hand side. I like him on that right-hand side. I've said this 150 million times before. On that left-hand side, when it comes to build-up, all that Sam Byram is useful for from an offensive point of view is if the central midfielder gets the ball and plays the ball over the top and Sam Byram's running. For combinations on that left-hand side, he can't do it because he can't use his left foot. There's a point in the first half of which he got into the box and tried to use his left foot. Ramazani was in a real advantageous space where he beat in the offside trap. He kicks the ball out of play, then goes like that. And it's stuff like that where you see, even in the, I believe it was the Norwich game? I can't remember what it was. I think it was the Norwich game when Firpo came back in and you just saw the level go like that because you've actually got a left-footed player. I just thought to myself today, you know, when you're thinking, do we not even have a left footer in the academy? Could he not have even gone? He's not a left foot. Some of you guys will watch academy football more than I. Do we not have a left-footed left back who could just go into the team? So that was the major frustration for me in terms of build-up, in terms of facilitating Leeds' offensive structure, because you have to build up to be able to get to that point. So the first phase has to get to the second phase to get to the third phase. You have to go through, you have to build up. So initially, that was a big problem of mine, the fact that we were going on that right-hand side, and it was a continuum from Bogle and James, of which Bogle and James weren't playing. So there's no point in going on that right-hand side. So once again, the standout for me today was Isaac Schmidt. Buzzing with him. I thought he was really, really good. Sam Chambers, good for him to be exposed to championship football, Leeds and Millwall, but he's nowhere near ready enough. Nowhere near ready enough. He should have scored, in my opinion, one of the two opportunities that he had. However, I'm going to give him a little bit of slack. I'm not going to, say this, that, and the other. Just a few minor observations when you come into the football player. I think his acceleration is not his strongest point. I think his left foot is one of his strongest points. I think when I was looking at Sam Chambers throughout that game, the positive of him is he can use his right and his left foot really efficiently, which is a really, really good development for a young lad. His acceleration wasn't great for me, but his agility in terms of being able to move off the right foot onto the left foot quickly is a real positive for me when looking at Sam Chambers. So not ideal. Now, let's move a little bit further forward into the midfield, which for me is naturally the brain of the operation. So the brain of the operation was Gilavogui and Rothwell. Now, in build-up, once again, you will get Rothwell go into that left-back position, which is normally what you actually get Gruev doing as well. And I actually thought the build-up in this game, when Rothwell had the ball in that left-back position, was some of the best we saw in this game. Rothwell played that lovely arching ball to Schmidt, who on the first touch, by the way, 60-yard pass on the first touch, played it to Sam Chambers. Himerod inside should have scored. But lovely, lovely, lovely play from everyone there. It was a really nice build-up. Rothwell, we don't normally see that. Leeds try keep controlled build-up in terms of 5 to 8 yard passes and build-up and yada, yada, yada. And then we try to do it in control. You never really see these long spraying passes. So see Rothwell do that. Schmidt, excellent touch. Chambers unlucky with his finish. Was really nice. And we didn't do that enough. So Millwall predicted that. They predicted that and they made it compact in that midfield. So what you would naturally get Gilavogui doing is hiding, which is horrendous for a midfielder, okay? And this isn't calling Joshua Gilavogui out, because I've been a big sort of advocate of bringing someone like that in. And a real specimen physically is coming in towards the back end of matches and us seeing him just seeing that out games and it being good on that stance. Now, the problem is when you get a midfielder hiding, and he did this several times where he would just slide naturally into the back two. So he doesn't have to take the onus on that midfield to go and get the ball and make it move. The problem is then you get Leeds in a defensive structure and there's a massive hole in the midfield, which I think anytime Millwall in that first half came forward, there's a hole in the midfield. And that is where Joshua Gilavogui had to plug the gap, and he wasn't plugging the gap defensively or in build-up. So Daniel Farke's teams build up vertically. If he's not going and getting the ball like we see Tanaka do, like we see Amper do, like we see Gruev do, you are massively inhibiting Leeds' build-up. So we can look at Byram, we can look at Chambers, we can look at maybe Schmidt been on the wrong side in terms of where it would have helped Leeds. The big problem today, the major problem today was Joshua Gilovogui for me. And obviously Rothwell, but that midfield was the biggest problem for Leeds United today because it was inhibiting our build-up. And that midfield is where Leeds United dominate games. It's the brain of the operation. It is the, we have metronomes in there who can do things in terms of tempo, the orchestrate play. Gilovogui hiding from the ball. And when he's on the ball, really, his first touch was horrific. And we saw it against Harrogate where he's got more time and space at centre back, but they were pressing on his touch as well. And today, any time he got the ball, you had Denor, you had Mitchell right on his touch. And unfortunately, when they were when we were going forward, and it's that tight pocket, that tight little space of which, he's trying to move his feet at a quick speed. He couldn't do it, which basically meant that the ball bounced off his left foot, then to his right foot, and then he had to lunge to go and get it back. And that's a red card. That's a red card. It was slowed down. It's high. That's a red card. And one other thing I will say with Joss, and I don't want to come across as really harsh here, but we know he's a really nice guy. But when you're getting Tanganga going up to the referee and saying, get him sent off, and the Millwall players are all getting around the referee and trying to get Gilovogui sent off. And Gilovogui then is turning round to Jaffa Tanganga and putting his arm around him and saying, sorry, I don't like that. Do not let him do that. You're an experienced player. I know you're a nice guy, but I want to see a little bit of nastiness in there as well. I want you to just barge him out the way and say, no, don't go to the referee, mate. You need to have a little bit of spite in that midfield that we know, maybe Gruev and Padu definitely. And we've seen a little shade or two of Tanaka, haven't we, in terms of him having that nasty side, in terms of tackle and combativeness. And sometimes when he's been talking to the referee, I think Joss missed that today. But he was poor in build-up, and I thought that's the big area of which Leeds suffered, because that's where Leeds start everything. It's the midfield and building up through that middle phase. Look, let's talk about going a little bit further forward and the elephant in the room before we get into some of your comments. Nonso in the 10. Look, let's say this right now. I'm not here to be proven right, okay? I just want my team to win and go up. If you have a different opinion to me, subjectivity is all part of football. I can dramatically disagree with you, but I'm not here to say I told you so. I'm really not. I think something, sometimes it's right. I think other things, they might be wrong. I'm a football fan. I'm not a pundit or anything like that. My whole thing with Willian Yonto, my whole thing with Ramazani, the rap sheet is I've seen Ramazani tear Sheffield United apart, arguably the best team in this division, in that central attacking midfield phase, of which that is where he was utilised on that half turn, driving at the centre backs. Willian Yonto, I've seen him against Sheffield Wednesday, a Danny Roll Sheffield Wednesday side, which prioritises structure and a framework. Nonso destroyed them earlier on the season in that cam role. That, for me, is evidence that as a second role, because you've got Aronson, who is the out-and-out number 10 in this team, as a secondary role, worst case comes to it, you can have someone who's technically efficient in there, as a Solomon, as we tried against Harrogate, which I thought was fine. You've got Nonso in there and a Ramazani. Okay, they're second options to Brendan Aronson, who is the starter. Brendan Aronson is notoriously fit for this Leeds United side. Another option is Leeds can drop Peru into that number 10 with Joseph as the number 9. Okay, we've not tried that enough. Not only that, we only tried that last season, and people don't like Peru in the number 10 because who was in the number 9 with him? Rutter. So they're getting each other's way. So it's a massive problem last season. Joseph is a lead liner, whereas Peru is naturally someone who will veer back a little bit. Whether or not you think he's good enough there, whether or not you think Peru's good enough there, it's an option. So these are all secondary options. So this has been my overarching point throughout this entire period and throughout the season. I'm a solution-based guy, okay? So if Leeds United don't have Aronson in that space, do we have enough technically efficient players to be able to deliver in a pocket of space, of which is one of the key spaces on the pitch? Do these players take up that space when they are on a football pitch, even when they're supposed to be out wide? Can they invert and move into these spaces and cause damage? All yes. We've seen it throughout the season. So if you're able to do these things, if you're able to look at a central attacking midfielder and tell me, one of the things, vision. Another thing, off the ball work. Another thing, shot efficiency. Another thing, agility. Another thing, balance. Another thing, be good in the half spaces. If you've got all these tick boxes on your little checklist. I think the players that we have in that 3 are able to work in that position anyway. And I think the beautiful thing about Farke's system in that 4-2-3-1 is I think you naturally get these wingers inverting, which means that they'll be adapt to those positions anyway. So that's my rationale for it. You might disagree with it. That's absolutely fine. That's football. But to come on my streams and almost be happy about it, be happy about it failing, be happy about these players not being good enough, I think is weird. I think it's weird. We all want Leeds to win. We're all trying to find solutions so that Leeds can go out there and win promotion and get to the Premier League and be there as a collective and be happy. I think it's weird when you get certain people of the fan base sat there just going, ha 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 ha, and enjoying it and basking in it. I find that odd because when you come on here, we try to find solutions so that we can actually move forward. You might think a player is good enough. I might think a player is good enough. We can both be wrong. That's the thing. Two things can also be right. So the manager has a lot at his disposal right now to be able to work around this. That's where I come from right now. Willian Yonto in that game, he created 0.28 XG, sorry, 0.25 XG. XG and expected assist was at 0.28, which was the second best on the pitch. The top was the goal scorer in Femi Aziz, I should say. So the stats would tell you that Nonto wasn't great, but he was still creatively the second best player on the pitch. So as a sub to Brendan Aronson, who will be starting week in, week out, it's not a bad option, is it? It's not a bad option. That is my overarching point. And do we have other players who can fit in there? Can we system change? We can. We can go to a 4-4-2. We can go to a 4-3-3. We can go to a 3-4-3. We can do all of these things. And that is because the 49ers have given Daniel Farke an absolute plethora of quality, of which you cannot agree with that, but the facts are the facts. We're able to rotate with that amount of quality today, and they weren't all able to forge partnerships and be great together, but we're still able to do that, which teams in the division just can't do. So going forward, Ramazani, as I say, I thought was hindered a little bit with Sam Byram and the fact that Leeds were building up on that right-hand side, not the left. Chambers, I thought, struggled a little bit. And before I get into your guys' comments, let's just get into Joseph. Let's get into Joseph. Okay, so in this game, sorry, I'm just getting a few texts here. Oh, okay. So let's get into Joseph, shall we? So, not good in this game. Absolutely not good. I think we just read out right there the XG and the XG and XA of Willian Yonto, right? Top today, top. The only chances that we had were Sam Chambers, a penalty of which Nonto got. So Chambers 2 efforts, Ramazani 2 efforts from outside the box, Nonto penalty, and that was that. Now on the watch along, we were talking about this, and Joseph, I was getting very annoyed. Some people won't like to listen to that. I can see you in the chat who just don't like to listen to it because you're coming in here with one thing and one thing only. It's not that Leeds have lost. You're not bothered about that. You're just angry that I backed Joseph for a part of the season. You're just pissed off at that. You're pissed off that Leeds have lost and you're pissed off at the fact that I backed Joseph. So you're giving me it, which fair. I'm trying to talk through the game. It is what it is. I understand people come in with different agendas. But when I'm looking at Mateo, Joseph wasn't good enough. In the watch-along, we were talking about it, and I was actually getting extremely frustrated with his link-up play. What I will say is the reason I mentioned that XG and the XA and XG combined is because we evidently didn't create that much today. I thought Millwall were compact. I thought they were aggressive. I thought Jake Cooper and Tanganga in particular had good games. Joseph's link-up play was nowhere near good enough in this game. And it was actually abundantly clear in this game to me that he needs to step up big time. And that's not something Farke can do. Farke has given him he's given him a big chance today. Go out against Millwall, prove yourself. Let's have a look. Okay. What can you do? How can you convince me? So what I've seen in that game with Joseph, number one, poor link-up play. Number two, I've not seen Joseph go and pick the ball up for that penalty. He's done this before when Pascal's been on the pitch. As I'm just going to take a sip of this, guys. I've been waffling on for a while. Hold on. Right. If Peru's on the pitch, I think he takes that penalty. Why is Joseph not going and taking that penalty? Why? That is something he simply has to do. He simply has to go when he's out of form in an FA Cup game and take that ball off Stroud. Was he outranked? I don't know. But I don't think the Leeds team would have had a problem with that in an FA Cup game of which we can afford to go out. So 2 things there. 3 things can also be true. Did Leeds create enough? So if you're all hammering the number, if there's people in here hammering the 10, hammering Ramazani, hammering everything behind him, and then hammering Joseph, that's fine. Completely get that. But you've also got to look at the 3 in behind him, who I'm being told have not been good enough in this game as well. Nonto not good enough in the number 10. Ramazani not good enough today. Fair. What I will say then is if you're saying that and you're not saying the 10's been good enough and we needed Brendan Aronson in there to create X, Y, and Z, you've got to look at Joseph up top because he's not had a lot to deal with. Was his link-up play when it was forced upon him good enough? No, it wasn't. It wasn't good enough. And I will say that. I'll concede that. Of course I can concede. I don't have this Joseph agenda. I don't care. Peru comes on. I think there's differences between them both. I think Joseph works away from home a lot of the time. I think that workhorse works. I actually think a 2 away from home would be really decent. But I also think Peru works as well. That's why I didn't want us to go and do Archer, because I think that they work quite well. I think those 2 options are absolutely fine. So I'm okay on either side of the argument. I'm not going to come out here and say Aronson's crap, Peru's crap, because they're not crap footballers. Do I prefer other options at points? Yes, but they've been brilliant for us this season. And there's been times on here where I've defended Aronson a hell of a lot. Had to defend him at the start of the season when he was getting dog's abuse from the fans. Had to come out and do that, okay? Joseph, for me, is better in certain games, but I don't have agendas for any of them. I couldn't give a you-know-what. I was getting told last about 3 or 4 months ago, an agenda for Gruev. Last week, I'm tweeting all about Gruev and telling people to get off his back. I don't do these things. I'm nearly 32 years of age. I really couldn't care less. My overriding perspective as a Leeds United fan is for us all to be as a collective and for us all to go up to the Premier League. That's it. That literally is it. Whoever gets us up there, gets us up there. I'm a fan on this channel who gives my opinion. I'm not the coach. I'm not the manager. If you're offended by what I say, I'd advise not being on this channel. That's what I'd say. But I would say as well, everybody, I'm going to encourage you to not just come in and say, because I'm just not going to, I'm not going to really engage with it. I'm going to give you my opinion, tell you why I think this. But if it's just that, then we're not having a conversation here. There's no real subjectivity. We're not really having a debate and discussion here. It's not really how it's working. It's just kind of the same thing banged on every single time. So, yeah, I think we just need to, that's what I'm trying to encourage here. I completely understand that. I completely understand people don't think Joseph's been good enough. Fine. I agree with you. He didn't do well today. People think Aronson should be in there. That's fine. Aronson needs resting. But this is coming down to much more than that, isn't it? It's not about Joseph. It's not about Aronson. It comes all the way back to Farke or the 49ers. This is what this is all about. This is what it's all about. Are you Farke or 49ers? Has Farke been out by the 49ers? Has he? He's been left out to the dogs. That's what it is. This is what this all is, which I just think is a bit nonsense for me anyway. Just keeping a lot. What I will say as well, before we do get into this, and I think this is something that we need to talk about as well, just keep an eye on that Sheffield United game. Obviously, Sunderland drawing massive. But what I will say as well, everybody, is unfortunately, I'm going to have to say this, and I didn't really want to say this today, but they've been, Millwall have been condemned for tragedy chanting. You know what I mean? Water is wet. The Pope is in the Vatican City. Yeah. So it's horrendous. It's abhorrent. It's vile. But look, and it's not condemning all Millwall fans because I know it's just a certain amount, but there is a correlation in who you play and when you do hear these things. And there are clubs that sing these things. I don't understand why people bring that absolute vile, vulgar tone into football and find it funny. Is what it is, though. You can't stop people like this because it continues. So there's certain things in the English football pyramid which are not allowed to be said. And I think it's actually really, really good now when you go to, or when you hear of like Liverpool and Man United games, the tragedy chanting stopped, and it has. even Celtic Rangers games. I've got a lot of friends up there. They said it's massively quelled. Why do fans come down and sing every single week about you know who was affiliated with Leeds? Leeds obviously take the mickey back, but still, that is horrific. When you boil that down, it is absolutely horrific that fans can come up, but nothing's ever said about that. There's no complaints. That's not seen as a horrendous chant to sing. That's every single week we get that. And then this happens. Thank God Leeds have released a statement because I'm not sure it'd have been picked up elsewise. But it seems to just be accepted when it's Leeds United. And, maybe that speaks volumes and says a few other things, but strange, isn't it? How it doesn't seem to be accepted anywhere else, these vile chants, especially when we get it every week. And for things which have been, the consequence of these things have been horrific in and around this area. It's accepted. It's funny. It's funny. I wonder if that would be the same with any other clubs. Seems to be it's Leeds quite a lot, doesn't it? Which I don't really understand what that was. Bob says, come on then, Connor, defend the indefensible. Joseph is simply not good enough if you were poor today. Ampadu included, but Joseph made Guido Voggi look good. Yep, all right, fine. He's crap. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Nonto isn't a 10 based on that performance. Mateo couldn't pass water today. Agree with you. Does it concern you, Connor, that the depth we are so happy with starting looks so poor for the most part, Schmidt aside? Not really, James, because the depth that we've got, normally in a match day squad, you have sort of like 15, don't you? What is it? 14, 15 really that get picked from. You've got 11 players and you have 3 subs-ish, and that rotates based on injury. So you have 15, 16. What would ours be? I mean, we can't say one thing and then not another, because what I'm hearing in the last week, and this is where it is, we come on here and we talk about certain things that we're pretty and I'm not having a go at you for this, mate, whatsoever, because I think it's a common theme. We've just lost to Millwall. We've put 10 different players in. They've only changed 3 of their side. 3 players have come in for their side, right? 3. They've made 3 changes. So that is an albeit Millwall starting 11 going into every championship fixture. We've made 10 changes, albeit they're good individual players. You have to be a team. You have to be a unit. When Leeds are bringing on players every single week in the championship, we've got the strongest 11 in the division. And then we're bringing on Nonto, Ramazani, Joseph, and Rothwell. So you've only really got 4 players, haven't you, that you go with rotation-wise most weeks. And if you fluctuate in that, if he's fit, you've got Verber in there. You've got Gilavoggi in there. You've got Schmidt in there. So that as a rotation, 15, 16 is the best in the league. So, if we're going into cup games and we're changing week in, week out, that would worry me, I guess. But that's a Millwall team who haven't made many changes. That's a Millwall team who played well today. Can you imagine Alan Shearer let his centre half take a pen? Agree, mate. Agree. Chambers did okay today, says Steve. Should have put his chance away. A little bit sluggish. His time will come. Got in a few good positions. Yeah, 100%. I have a go at him, but missed Aronson's work rate, I reckon. Yeah. I think, do you know what? Aronson, I think when their centre-backs had the ball, I'd agree. And I'm talking about the midfield. I'm talking about the midfield being a bit of an issue. Aronson does add to that. I like Aronson. 2 things can be right. I like Brendan. I think he's had a good season. Sometimes I think he's a bit overhyped by the fan base, but he's had a good season. Let's smash these likes up, everybody. Really appreciate it. Joseph shocking. Yeah, can't win them all, says Lewis Sean. Let's keep going and get behind the team. You're right, buddy. You're right. I don't know what you're on about. I literally don't know what you're on. I don't understand why you come on these streams, fella. What is the point? Why are you here? You're not going to change my opinion, mate. And I'm not going to change yours. So, man, that's never going to happen. And also, basically, what do you mean by that? Your opinion on 1 game per player, such a poor take, and Joseph is woeful. Joseph isn't woeful. He's not a woeful player. Okay. He's just not. Might not be as good as you think he could get to, but he's not a woeful player, is he? So that's a bad take. Come on. He's not a woeful player, is he? Sunderland missed 2-on-1 in extra time with the game. Must have been practicing with half forwards, 100%, mate. Agree with you. I'm not getting angry, mate. I just passionately defend how I feel. Yeah, I just passionately defend how I feel. If the Blades don't win today, I'll take out the cup for being in there. Exactly, mate. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That's the thing. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. It's very weird. Like, why are we not in this together? Why are we not? We need to be going against Millwall here and laughing at Millwall and laughing at other teams. And it's almost like the "I told you so" brigade is just ready for Joseph to have a bad performance. Yeah, and then it's like, what? All right, cool. We'll take them out next game, won't we? Because the squad's depth. We have depth. So Peru will come back in, won't he? Nonto's been terrible in the number 10. So Harrison comes back in. Yeah. And Nonto wasn't that bad. Second amount of big chances created in the game. Only second to the goal scorer. Won the penalty from that central position as well. But he was crowded out a hell of a lot of time and was fouled, the most foul player in that game. So it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad in a completely rejigged team. You've got to look at the context there. It was more look about yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Stay happy, man. I agree. Totally different Millwall. Club's been revolutionised since Harris. We've completely changed. We're missing two of our best players. Cup tie. Totally different Millwall. Club's been revolutionised since Harris. We're completely changed. We're missing two. I thought it was someone came. Well, I looked on the Twitter site, mate. It said you made 3 changes. Fair play if that's wrong. If it's a completely different side, then yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Yeah, mate. I live in your head, mate. I live in your head. I've seen your Twitter account. Absolutely live there. Bottom line, most of our squad needed a rest, and that happened today. Yes, weren't our best, but let's be honest, focus on the league. Exactly. Mate, this guy, he just does not leave it. Fair play to you, mate. Fair play to you. It's a full-time job. Afternoon, Connor, there have been 10 changes, and it might have been always different. Going on, tight return from, mate, I can't read apparently. Yeah, no, you are right. Tim says, think that performance today will propel the team to lift it on Tuesday. And that's it. It's one of those consistent things, isn't it? If we are propelled to winning the game Tuesday, that's going to be fantastic, isn't it? And look, we're 6 points. Are we 6 points clear right now? I mean, Sheffield United, have they taken the lead yet? I'm not seeing anything. Nope, still 0-0. I mean, I do think that's going to turn around at some stage. I do think that's going to turn around. But currently, 5 points clear of Burnley. 5 points clear of Burnley. Obviously 6 points technically with the goal difference. So there we go. But Joseph, not the answer one bit, not good enough, and we won't go up. He's definitely not going to be good enough. Fair enough. Millwall have beaten us twice this season. Not getting Jan's signings is already showing. Still top of the league, Connor, but exactly, mate. Exactly. Let's have a look. No, I mean, the club itself has changed, totally revolutionized. No low block with a load of old veterans. God, I'm going to miss Leeds next season. Yeah, man. Well, at least you kind of know. At least you kind of... If Millwall get a couple of wins, I mean, the whole... Andy, presumably you're a Millwall fan, but the tragedy chanting is disgraceful. It's absolutely abhorrently bad, and that's poor from Millwall today. Horrendous from Millwall. But you know, that isn't a marker for all Millwall fans. I know a lot of good Millwall fans, especially Dan, Lions TV, top man. And I know he'd have hated to hear that as well. But yeah, Millwall as a club, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just you need a bit of consistency. I think Alex Neil's a good appointment. To keep an old Tanganga's massive. But yeah, if Leeds are to go up and Millwall to get a couple of wins over us, that's absolutely fine. But did we do you twice? Did we do you twice last season? Can't remember. It's not been great this year, I have to admit, though. Let's not pretend you always beat us, though. Rai says, might even be doing the pressure off. Sorry, mate, I can't even read that. Mate, you're off, mate. Get rid of this guy. Sorry, guys, I don't normally do this, but we're not even having a conversation here. This guy is just a bit of an oddball, I think. So we're just getting rid of him. Look, we can come in here and have a conversation. We can do this, that, and the other. But yeah, look, I think it just verges on being a bit personal sometimes with some of the stuff. It's a bit, and you can all, it's just a bit. I mean, I'm getting texts to remove the guy as well. So yeah, I think I'm all up for having a debate, everybody. I'm all up for subjectivity, but stuff like that, the fanboys are coming out to protect you. This is my channel, mate. It's my channel. I've got amazing subscribers who are here, and it's 42,000 of them. So I can't be talking that much nonsense. So yeah, I really appreciate all of you guys who are here, though. And look, if we have a difference in opinion, look, a lot of you are actually right as well. By the way, a lot of you are actually right. Joseph wasn't good today, but okay. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that preference for certain things. It's like people want to force their opinion on you. You don't have to tune into this channel. It's absolutely fine. Might even be the pressure of playing for Leeds that's doing it. If we had other options, then alone might have benefited Joseph. Yeah, 100%, mate. You go up. Totally agree. The chatting sort of out of order. Agree with that. 100%, mate. If you have playoff for last promotion team, that why not? Yeah, not a bad point, mate. Tenacious says, not just you that said this, Connor. This Aronson stuff needs a rest. Quite a few weeks now. He's clearly very fit and would have signed for Bielsa. Click played 100 games. Not just you that said this, Connor. I think Aronson. Yeah, and that's it. It's not. The thing is, I don't think, mate, it's not about Aronson and Peru and all this sort of stuff. This is more about who you're blaming. I don't know why we're blaming, by the way, because as a collective, we're doing pretty well this season. But it's sticking your colours to the mast, and it's who you're blaming, 49ers or blaming Daniel Farke. I think they're both doing a really good job. And I don't think that's a toxic mentality. I think there are toxic mentalities out there, to be honest with you. And I think it's quite abundantly clear. But I think they're both doing a really good job. I don't think this whole Aronson Peru thing is to do with Aronson and Peru. It's to essentially say we needed a 9, we needed a number 10. Therefore, it's the 49ers' fault for not backing Daniel Farke, and it's their fault if we don't get promoted. That is what this all is. It's got nothing to, in my opinion, I don't think it's got so much to do with Aronson and Peru as people actually think. I think we have good debates. Connor, we do, man. I've got Gabe on tomorrow, and I said this yesterday. I said this is mine and Gabe's thumbnail for tomorrow. So, yeah, Gabe wanted that. So Gabe's going to come on and hammer me about Joseph, and that's fine. That's fine. We just got to keep it respectful, I think. Okay, if Farke and Leeds were truly bothered about the result today, wouldn't have brought on Debayo when you're chasing 2. Exactly. And you'd probably made changes before the 70th minute, wouldn't they? Cannot ignore Joel Pro 30. Yep, you're right. Completely right. Completely right. The fact that Nonto is 21 is wild. He's been senior level so long he gets held to a higher standard than it. Yeah, you're right, Ryan. I think you bang on there. And as I've said, so let me just, I'll share this with you guys here. Is it one of those where Willie Nonto had to step up to the plate today? Yeah, but I just had a quick look because I was just interested in his game against Millwall today. So let's just have a quick look at FootMob. Let's have a quick look here. So let's have a quick little look. So stat-wise, surprisingly, Leeds, that's momentum bar, and you'll get promoted on the momentum bar. But look at this. This is what I was saying today. Still, look, Millwall, 1 big chance, scored 2 goals. Leeds, 2 big chances. I think that was probably, I don't know if big chances are penalties. I'm not 100% sure, but that feels like it was maybe more of the Chambers chance. But if we just go on to the stats here and move a little bit further down. So you just look at Liam Roberts was the goalkeeper. So their goalkeeper got man of the match. All right. So Femi Aziz, who got 2 goals, minutes played 75. Okay. Goals 2, total shots 3, XG 0.25. So that's, pretty decent. Expected goals and assists here. Now, second in command here is Willie Nonto. Okay. So he's clearly getting himself into spots. He's clearly getting involved. He's had the most shots. Look, should he have done better? Of course, he should have done. 1 as the penalty. But to have sort of this and to be involved in the game, not to have an amazing game, guys, which he didn't. He didn't have an amazing game, didn't. But for that to be second in the charts, maybe for a number 10 that we have, for Peru to go into the number 10, and maybe for Joseph to go up top, maybe that'd work. A little bit of a partnership between them both, and then maybe Ramazani going in there. Maybe, having a variant on the number 10 for Aronson, who is always fit. Okay. That is, no other team has that. Okay. You've seen Solomon going the number 10 against Harrogate, albeit not great, but that's your second. It's not bad. It's not too bad. Have a good rest of your weekend, pal. Let's see the thumbnail again. There you go. Yeah, he's done you dirty there with the. He's done me dirty there. To be fair, we need a bit more of a brown contrast on that, do we? We've got a little bit more of a tan than that, surely. Right, everyone. I've been going for 40 minutes. I need a lie down. My goodness, taking absolute pelters today for us losing. Right, I'm gonna have a lie down. We're gonna be back tomorrow with Gabe and going through it. Really appreciate all of your support. Please slap a like on the video. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all of your support. If you want some bonus content, head on over to the Patreon, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.